Everybody, how are we all doing today? Welcome to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner on 12OZ Radio, 12OZSportsRadio.com. I'm your host, Glenn Kaplan. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend, and I hope you all enjoyed The Last Dance documentary, the first two episodes. That was aired last night on ESPN, forever watched, and I will get into that in just a minute on this show. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend, and finally that gave us some positivity in our life when it comes to the sports end of things. And another exciting thing this week is we'll have the NFL draft, and I'll get to that on today's show as well. So however you're spending your quarantine time, I hope you're all doing it safely, social distancing, and it's just, we got to deal with it right now. Love you all. Hope you all are staying safe. Enjoying watching cartoons, Netflix, playing sports outside, staying in condition. All the other fun stuff. So let's get into business today. First things first. The documentary of The Last Dance featuring with the Chicago Bulls when they won their 6 championships. And I'm going to tell you point blank that I'm not big into Michael Jordan. And I'm not one of these people that think he's the greatest of all time. And no, I don't think LeBron James is the greatest player of all time either. I'm not one of those people. If you ask me who the greatest player of all time was in basketball, I'm going to tell you it was Bill Russell, and I'm basing it proof off of who's the NBA Finals MVP trophy named after. Bill Russell, who happened to win only 11 or 12 championships with the Boston Celtics. And I know people want to say Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Some think LeBron, but I don't think it's either of them. That's just my opinion. Although I think Jordan's a better player than LeBron. That I will say. But I'm not going to get into the logistics of it because I am not into this whole debate of who's the GOAT and who's this and who's that. But in the documentary itself, I thought it was great to start off in the first episode. I thought it set the tone. And it was like, it's like an actual kind of movie kind of situation nonetheless. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. And there were a lot of people, Damian Lillard, Dwayne Wade, Zach LaVine, Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, a lot of those people were so into it. Of course, I was into it. And they're going to be 10 total episodes. And this was a great call to move this up. They were supposed to originally air this in the summer. But because we're in self-quarantine, there's nothing else to watch right now. This is a great call to move this thing up. And boy, oh boy, do we all love it. And boy, oh boy, do we all remember a time where we all could be out with our friends at sporting events. But in this documentary, I can't wait for the other 8 episodes. And I'm sure probably the next 4 Mondays, including today's, which is 5 Mondays, I'm probably going to start off with this. Maybe not next Monday due to the NFL draft. I'll see how it all goes. But in the time being, with this documentary, I think it's fantastic. I give it an A to an A+. One of the things that cut out to me is this is preposterous and absolutely ridiculous out of a number of levels. How does Scottie Pippen, who was the second tail to Michael Jordan, get paid 7 years, $18 million total? $18 million! Are you kidding me? Jerry Krause, the general manager, gives the second best player $18 million total in 7 years. No, not $18 million a year, but total. Can you imagine Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving, all the second-tier guys in the NBA today getting $18 million total in 7 years? Are you kidding me? I'm just laughing about the whole thing. Everyone was beside themselves when they saw that Scottie Pippen only got 7 years, $18 million, and he was the 122nd most player who got with the money. You want to know who's paid the 122nd most money in the NBA? A guy who can't shoot, Andre Roberson, who plays for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Goodness gracious, I can't believe it. You paid Scottie Pippen that kind of short leverage money, and no wonder why he wanted out of Chicago. Can you imagine that happening in today's NBA? And Michael Jordan think that Scottie Pippen got a little greedy, but I think I can understand Jordan's perspective. But Jordan was kind of about that a little bit about himself too. And speaking of this narrative, I don't understand. Remember, you know how people are like, oh, who you want with the game in the line, taking the last shot? And everyone's like, oh, Michael Jordan over LeBron. Or Kobe v. Bryant over LeBron. Happens to know early on in season 1 of the Last Dance documentary that in a playoff game or in a regular season game, Michael Jordan actually passed up a shot to another player to actually Come on! Are you kidding me with this? No, LeBron James isn't the only one who passed up good shots for even a better shot. So did Michael Jordan. And we're going to sit... You know what they say? Pictures or it didn't happen. Videos or it didn't happen. There's exhibit A of it. Okay? And here's another interesting thing in the documentary that I found very fascinating. So, you know, we have the term load management, right? In today's NBA, we have load management. And there are guys that want to sit out, this and that, da-da-da. No, Michael Jordan was anti-load management, and he always wanted to play no matter the circumstances. There was a game against Detroit or Indiana, in the documentary, that Michael Jordan, the final 30 seconds of the game, had to be benched because of a minutes restriction. And there was a very interesting comparison yesterday, Seth Davis posted on his Twitter account. With that Michael Jordan thing, with the load management, was very similar to in 2012 of Steven Strasburg, where Strasburg was on an innings limit and had to be shut down for the rest of the year, and it doomed the Washington Nationals in the World Series title, but they happened to win one this year, so all swell ends well, I guess, for Steven Strasburg. Now back onto the Michael Jordan side of things. Michael Jordan always wanted to be out there. And he was thinking to himself, am I out because of we want to get a better draft pick? Happens to know in that same year. They actually happened to win that game. Paxson he admitted in the documentary that he got lucky and threw up the shot and he went in, number one. Number two, there was a lot of friction with the front office. Jerry Krause, the general manager. Yes, Stephen A. Smith was mentioning, and I didn't know this until he said it this morning, that he was a Hall of Fame general manager. And I'm like, probably because he won those 6 titles with the Bulls. And seemed like there's a lot of friction. And also Phil Jackson and Scottie Pippen admitted that it wasn't pretty. And another interesting thing about Scottie Pippen was he admitted one time that he did not want to rehab in the summer because he didn't want to F up basically his summer. So that's what everyone is feeling like with the summer in 2020 with the whole coronavirus. So, yeah, it's probably not going to happen. But Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls only won 30 games that year and made the playoffs as an 8th seed because of how bad the East was in the bottom half. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, I know LeBron went to, 8 straight finals? And you all want to kill him and criticize him for making the finals because of the East. No. Michael Jordan made the playoffs as an 8 seed with only 30 wins. And you're not going to tell me that's not weak? You're going to tell me this morning that's not weak. That's despicable on all levels. You know what it's like with Jordan and LeBron? It's like the double standards of politics with the Democrats and the Republicans. This is what it's like here with Michael Jordan and LeBron. You give Michael Jordan crickets, but you give LeBron all the criticism. You can't have a double standard here. No. You can't have it both ways. And certainly a lot of people can't have it both ways. It's either one way or the other, and that's simply it. And I find this very fascinating, and these debates are still going to be going on over the course of the next 5 weeks with these old documentaries. And then they lost to the Boston Celtics in 6, scored 49 in Game 1, 63 in Game 2. And then they lost to the Celtics. Wait a minute, didn't LeBron James score a lot of points a couple of times in a playoff series and they didn't win games either? Oh yeah, that happened with LeBron too. All you revisionist history and only wanting to say LeBron doesn't do this. Ladies and gentlemen, the facts are coming out on Michael Jordan. And I still believe that Michael Jordan is better than LeBron. Of course I think that. But this documentary is going to prove once and for all we cannot be double standard with Michael Jordan and LeBron James. That's all I have to say with double standard on the matter. Because Michael Jordan was the heartbeat and the heart and soul of the Chicago Bulls, and so was Scottie Pippen. And I can't wait for more documentaries with Jordan being the heartbeat and the heart and soul of this team. And there is going to be a time where we have a LeBron one and a time where we also have a Kobe being Bryant, and that's going to be very emotional. That's going to be very emotional. Because he was the heartbeat and the heart and soul of the Los Angeles Lakers. And I just can't wait for more of this basketball stuff. Dun 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 dun. Yes, that's the sound effect you're going to be hearing when it comes to the NFL draft on Thursday. But before I get into my mock draft, which is basically going to be the rest of the show today, I want to read a tweet that Louis Riddick of ESPN said before we get started with my mock draft. We about to have the 2 highest rated sports shows of the year in the span of 1 week. 2 exclamation points. Hashtag Last Dance. Hashtag NFL Draft 2020. Hashtag ESPN. Hashtag LFG. Now that's how I feel about this. I'm curious to find out what the ratings are. I didn't look it up this morning what the ratings are with The Last Dance, but I'm pretty sure they were really high. And they were probably rated as high, probably like an NBA Finals game if I had to guess, maybe a little higher. I'm curious to see how this is all going to go down nonetheless with these ratings, and I'm very curious to see what happens down the road. So let me get started on my NFL mock draft. Dun 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 dun. So I'm going to start off with the first pick in my 2020 mock draft. The Cincinnati Bengals are selecting Joe Burrow, quarterback LSU. He takes over as the number 1 over Andy Dalton. Look for Cincinnati to trade Andy Dalton, AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, John Ross III as your receivers. Tyler Kroft is your tight end. John Uzuma is another tight end. And then Joe Mixon in the backfield. Zach Taylor. The second pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Chase Young, defensive end, Ohio State. Ron Rivera, they have a front seven. Ron Rivera's a defensive-minded guy. Chase Young could change the complexion of a game. The third pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Jeffrey Okudah, cornerback, Ohio State. The Detroit Lions have so many things to do. They have so many options on the table with the number 3 pick. Do you keep it? Do you trade it for a boatload of picks? I mean, what do? They have so many options, and that's why I believe the real NFL draft is going to begin. Because I believe Burrow's 1, Young is 2. Detroit's going to hold all the cards in this NFL draft with the number 3 pick. And I was watching on NFL Network this morning. My dad happened to have this on before I logged on my laptop and tweak up some stuff before I went on my show here. There are 2 mock trades that I found interesting that NFL Network on one of their shows was talking about. Detroit Lions get Yannick Ngakoue in the 20th pick from the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, you get someone up front and the 20th pick, but that's kind of fallen too far down back if you ask me. Maybe you're better off with the 9th pick. Or Miami gets the 3rd pick and Detroit gets the 18th, the 26th, and the 39th pick. I like that pick better for Detroit. Yes, I know you get to lose 3, the 3rd pick, but you still have 2 first-round picks, and you get a very high second-round pick. And if your front office knows what they're doing, you could basically nail those picks out of the park. Simply because Detroit needs a bunch of picks. You got Minnesota in your division, Green Bay in your division, and Chicago in your division. And this is basically the last straw for Matt Patricia, or he's going to be fired. What helped Matt Patricia is this was a rerun on NFL Network yesterday between him and Zach Taylor. This was the North and South in the Reese's Bowl back in January in Mobile, Alabama, was that they coached it up against each other. The 4th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Isaiah Simmons, linebacker and safety out of Clemson. I love the versatility that Simmons brings to this football team. He could play in coverage, he could blitz, he could tackle. He does a lot of things really well. He would do a lot of things really well for the New York Football Giants. I think Isaiah Simmons is going to be a superstar at the next level. And this could be, and before I get into my next pick, Ian Rappaport of NFL Network tweeted this out this morning. A draft tidbit to file away for Thursday. The hashtag Giants has spent a lot of time researching Oregon's quarterback Justin Herbert, a process that's included FaceTime conversations with Coach Joe Judge, per me and Mike Garofalo. New York has been exhaustive in its draft prep at number 4. Ladies and gentlemen, if you believe for 1 second that the New York Giants are actually going to take Justin Herbert in the draft, you're crazy. This is a smokescreen by the New York Football Giants. Why is this a smokescreen? Well, General Manager Dave Gettleman basically opened up the other day saying, we are open for business. Basically saying, we want to try and trade out of the 4th pick, and you better do so before we get on the clock on Thursday, because I'm sure the Giants want some extra picks, but Gettleman better be careful he doesn't trade too far down. You actually believe that the Giants are going to draft Justin Herbert when you already have Daniel Jones, a.k.a. Danny Dimes? Daniel Jones is a beast. He is the future in the making. And with him and Saquon, the heartbeats in the heart and soul of the New York Giants, they're not taking Justin Herbert. This is a smokescreen. With the 5th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Justin Herbert, quarterback, Oregon. I was just mentioning about Herbert. Herbert goes to the Dolphins here at number 5. And I truly believe that the Dolphins are going to take him over Tua. Something tells me that Herbert's going first before Tua because of the hip. And some teams are not going to like Tua's injury. I'm real curious to see how this is going to go. Tua may really slip. And here's another interesting question. This is related to Herbert and not Tua. And NFL Network mentioned this in their mock draft last night, their media mock draft. If Justin Herbert falls past number 6, who's training up for him? Maybe the Dolphins? Same team? Maybe the Las Vegas Raiders? Do the New England Patriots? That time will tell to see what happens nonetheless. With the 6th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback, Alabama. This has to be the move here. I cannot imagine the Chargers passing up a quarterback. I don't understand Anthony Lynn's reasoning and the front office reasoning for wanting to stick with Tyrod Taylor. And Tyrod Taylor is no more than a game manager. And no, he's not better than Phillip Rivers was last year. And no, Tyrod Taylor's not leading to use Super Bowl either. I just think that's a mistake on the Chargers' part. With the 7th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Derek Brown, defensive tackle, Auburn. Derek Brown may go as high as number 3 to Detroit, but Derek Brown bats down a lot of passes, he interrupts a lot of plays, and Carolina needs someone in the interior to get to the quarterback. When you have Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, and Drew Brees, that's going to help out a lot. And then you have Dave Tepper, the new owner, who wants some blue collar, some hard-nosed football. And so does the new head coach, Matt Rule, who left University of Baylor to take the Carolina Panthers job. And he also coached up the Temple Owls once upon a time. With the 8th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle, Iowa. Arizona needs an offensive lineman. You have traded for DeAndre Hopkins. You have Kyler Murray. You have Kenyon Drake. Get someone to protect Kyler Murray. And I think Wirfs might be the best offensive lineman in this draft. Very good in zone scheme. The Giants may take him 4th overall. We'll see. With the 9th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Jedrick Wills, offensive tackle, Alabama. Get Gardner Minshew some protection. And the Jags are also looking to trade running back Leonard Fournette in the NFL Draft, and I don't understand why. I mean, he was the heartbeat and heart and soul of that backfield, but, I mean, come on. You're going to trade Leonard Fournette? I'm trying to figure out. I know they had 12 draft picks. I mean, how many are you trying to acquire here? Goodness gracious on that part. With the 10th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle, Georgia. Get Baker Mayfield, his blind side offensive tackle. You signed Jack Conklin from the Tennessee Titans. And I would like this pick a lot for Cleveland. This is offensive line all the way. And Kevin Stefanski, the new head coach. You got Baker, Odell Beckham Jr. I don't understand those trade rumors. Nick Chubb. And you have Nick Chubb and Jarvis Landry and David Njoku and Austin Hooper. And I still wouldn't be surprised if you see a David Njoku trade at the draft on Thursday. And also keep an eye out, maybe Trent Williams, offensive tackle for the Washington Redskins, maybe getting traded. With the 11th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver, Alabama. Surprise, surprise, ladies and gentlemen. You get Sam Darnold as number 1 wide receiver. You lose Robbie Anderson. You basically have no one on the outside. And I don't want to hear you're going to draft an offensive lineman. You sign offensive linemen in free agency. Get your number 1 wide receiver, Jerry Jeudy. He's the best wide receiver in the draft. He runs good routes. And he has very good hands. With the 12th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver, Oklahoma. Goodness gracious, surprise, surprise. The Raiders love speed here. Not a fan of CeeDee Lamb. I know he's going to go high because of his raw talent, but I'm not a fan of his route running or his hands either. With the 13th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Henry Ruggs III, wide receiver, Alabama. You lost Emmanuel Sanders to the New Orleans Saints. And I like the pick here, Ruggs III. He played alongside Jerry Jeudy. Ruggs is very fast. What was it, a 4.27 40-yard dash? You can't teach speed, but you could teach the route running. And John Lynch knows how to draft a general manager. And he said he's open for business with training both the 13th and the 31st picks in this year's draft. I mean, he's a very good drafter. Nonetheless, he's done it before. And they don't have a second, third, or fourth round pick. I'm sure he's trying to get some of those picks. That's probably why he's trying to do that. With the 14th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select, DeAndre Swift, running back, Georgia. A lot of people had them taking offensive line here, but they need a running back. Ronald Jones, Peyton Barber, not the answer moving forward for Georgia at the Tampa Bay, at the running back position. Swift, a 3-down back, catches passes out of the backfield. You also have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Tom Brady. Heartbeat in the heart and soul now of the New England Patriots, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then you also have O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate, tight ends. With the before I announce the 15th pick, the Buccaneers were talking about maybe trading for Leonard Fournette, but they feel like they can find some in the draft, running backs. With the 15th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select T. Higgins, wide receiver, Clemson. Now, this would be a good pick because I think Higgins is a very good receiver. NFL.com thinks he's going to be like a comparison of A.J. Green. Now, I saw on Twitter yesterday that the Denver Broncos are looking to trade in the top 10 for wide receiver Jerry Jeudy because Pat Shurmur's the new offense coordinator, Drew Lock, quarterback, and they have Deshaun Hamilton, Phillip Lindsay in the backfield, Melvin Gordon in the second in the backfield. They don't have great tight ends, and they need to improve on the offensive line nonetheless as well. With the 16th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select A.J. Epenza, edge rusher, Iowa. Atlanta needs an edge rusher. Their starting offense has 11 picks. All 11 picks were for former first rounders. And I love the selection here for Atlanta. Bulk up the defense for Dan Quinn. With the 17th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select C.J. Henderson, cornerback, Florida. Byron Jones, you lost him in free agency to the Miami Dolphins. Now, C.J. Henderson is probably the second best corner in the draft, and I'm sure he's going to be going up some draft boards. It's honestly not a surprise he's going to go up some draft boards because Henderson's raw. He's excellent in man-to-man coverage. And Dallas needs help in the secondary. With the 18th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Laviska Shenault Jr., wide receiver, Colorado. Now, Shenault, he could go anywhere from the mid to the late first round to early to mid second round. It's really going to depend on the team's needs for wide receivers. And this guy had at least 5 rushing and receiving touchdowns this year. It was one of the best in the country, and Colorado isn't really known for its football, but he's a freak of nature, Shenault Jr. nonetheless. With the 19th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Yetur Gross-Matos, defensive end, edge rusher, Penn State. Now, Mike Mayock is very good at picking players. Excuse me, I typed Oakland Raiders, I meant the Las Vegas Raiders. Oopsies. So Las Vegas, they get another edge rusher, stock up the defense. You got to stop teams like the Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, the heartbeat and the heart and soul of the Kansas City Chiefs. You gotta stop that. You gotta stop those guys. Oakland on the come up, Denver on the come up, and then you also have Kansas City Super Bowl champions. With the 20th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Jaylon Johnson, cornerback safety from Utah. Jacksonville needs a corner to replace Jalen Ramsey, and they also lost A.J. Boye. With the 21st pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Justin Jefferson, wide receiver, LSU. Justin Jefferson was a very good target for Joe Burrow last year. Get Carson Wentz to number 1. Yes, Deshaun Jackson wasn't healthy. He'll be back. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Nelson Butterfingers Aguilar. That should probably be his middle name because he dropped a lot of passes. I actually remember last year where someone was catching something out of a window. It was firefighters or other people catching babies out of a window. He's like, these guys got better hands than Butterfingers Aguilar. And then Aguilar actually found the guy and actually rewarded him with something. I believe it was tickets to a game or something, and Aguilar took it with class, and he couldn't have done it better. He did it with full grace and all that stuff. So it was graceful and how Aguilar dealt with it, but he may not be with the team next year. And then you also have Alshon Jeffrey, who's entering the final year's contract, and you can't rely on tight end Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. With the 22nd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Jalen Reagor, wide receiver, TCU. The Vikings need a wide receiver. They really do. Because you traded away Stephon Diggs to the Buffalo Bills. All you have is Adam Thielen. And the Minnesota Vikings are usually a very good front office nonetheless. And Stephon Diggs is a big loss for this team. And Reagor's very speedy. He could open up the field, and Kirk Cousins will love throwing to him. With the 23rd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Jordan Love, quarterback, Utah State. You really believe that Jarrett Stidham is the answer at quarterback for the Patriots moving forward? Jordan Love has more upside. Jordan Love's sophomore tape was actually better than his junior tape. And my dad and I, we were discussing over the weekend about Jordan Love. How did the new coach, how does this new coach for Utah State keep getting hired? And they get worse. Teams get worse around him in his first year. I mean, I don't get it. Jordan Love has the tools to be like Patrick Mahomes, but I'm real curious to see how it's all going to wind up. With the 24th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle, Louisville. With the 25th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Jeff Gladney, quarterback, TCU. I'm sure those two teammates would accept it with grace that basically they would be teammates in purple again. Oh, goodness gracious on their part. And it's like, oh, we're teammates again. TCU, Minnesota. Of course they would accept it with grace and no problem. So with the 26th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Xavier McKinney, safety, Alabama. He basically replaces Minkah Fitzpatrick. And at 25 with Minnesota, they need a corner after getting rid of Xavier Rhodes and Trey Waynes. And this is a good pick for Miami here at 26. With the 27th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Trevon Diggs, cornerback, Alabama. Ladies and gentlemen, Seattle had basically a high school secondary last year. Let's just admit it. That Russell Wilson basically carried this football team. I mean, really. You actually believe that this team was good last year? Russell Wilson should have been the MVP, but don't get me started on it because they gave it to Lamar Jackson with the shiny new toy in town. Trevon Diggs is one of the most talented corners in this year's NFL Draft, and he's also the brother of Buffalo Bills wide receiver Stephon Diggs. Diggs is very physical at the point of attack, and we'll see what happens nonetheless. With the 28th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Kenneth Murray, linebacker, Oklahoma. What I say, GPS linebacker. Well, he plays like a GPS. Kenneth Murray, very good at tackling. And that's what the Baltimore Ravens need in the middle, nonetheless. With the 29th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select K'Lavon Chaisson, linebacker, edge rusher, LSU. Well, that's what the Titans are missing. They need an edge rusher because pass rushing was basically not even close. Their weakness last year, and it showed in the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Surprise, surprise. I think they're a pass rusher or two away from basically reaching the maybe winning the whole thing. And I disagree with my brother Ben on one thing. He thinks that the Titans hit their ceiling like when Jacksonville did in the AFC Championship 2 years ago, and they lost New England Patriots. Was it 24-20? Yeah, the score was 24-20. No, they did not hit their ceiling, the Tennessee Titans. First of all, number one, Mike Vrabel's their head coach. He knows a thing or two about bouncing back. Number two, the Titans personnel is much better than that Jaguars personnel ever was. Let me just say that right there. Because Tennessee, first of all, Tennessee's better than that Jacksonville team was. And Ryan Tannehill is better than Blake Bortles. And Derrick Henry is better than Leonard Fournette. And I just think personnel-wise it's better. I think Tennessee doesn't have as many holes to fill on the roster than people think. With the 30th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Jacob Eason, quarterback, Washington. Oh, this is going to set an uproar with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Because I don't know how Aaron Rodgers is going to do with criticism. And my brother Ben, he thinks Aaron Rodgers is very overrated. That's very interesting. And Rodgers isn't going to take it. Well, if he thinks Eason's going to take his job right away, then Rodgers should just retire and basically grow up, basically, because Rodgers basically has a knack of not agreeing with teammates and coaches and having family issues. There's just a lot of personal problems with Aaron Rodgers because I think he would take Green Bay, drafting a quarterback in the first round, Jacob Eason, Jordan Love, or whoever else, very personal. And I think Jacob Eason would be a good fit with the Packers. Good organization. Gets to learn from Aaron Rodgers for a couple years. He has a cannon for an arm. And if this were 5 to 10 years ago, Colin Cowherd on Fox Sports 1 has mentioned on the show, Eason may be a number 1 overall pick because of his prototypical size and his arm strength and his ability to stand in the pocket. But his weakness is he's got to need a strong offensive line, and he's got to run a little bit, and that's his weakness. But accuracy is one of his strengths nonetheless. With the 31st overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle, South Carolina. And I know teams are probably going to take Kinlaw higher, and that's what I see mock drafts having. But not here in my mock draft based on needs. Probably San Francisco would probably take him at 13, and it wouldn't shock me. But I have Kinlaw slipping this deep based off of needs. And Javon Kinlaw is a disruptor, and he's basically made his way up draft boards, and I don't even think he was a first rounder at the beginning of the college football season nonetheless. With the 32nd, and they also lost, trading away Arik Armstead to the Colts, Indianapolis Colts that is, that they'll be able to replace him. With the 32nd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Jonathan Taylor, running back, Wisconsin. Well, LeSean McCoy, Darrell Williams, Damian Williams, that's basically your backfield. And it's a good running back by committee for basically Andy Reid's bunch. And he finally got his precious Super Bowl ring after they beat the San Francisco 49ers in Super Bowl 54, 31-20. And I think the only issue with Jonathan Taylor is he fumbles a lot. Other than that, I think he's a home run hitter. He led the Big Ten in rushing for a few years, so I like the pick overall here. And that concludes the first round of my mock draft. And do you really think I'm going to end right now? No. We got more mock draft stuff to get into right now. Let's get into the second round. Dun. Here we go. With the 33rd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Patrick Queen, linebacker, LSU. So Cincinnati needs to get as many high-end football players as possibly can where they're selecting. So Queen, I think, is the best player here in the second round. He makes impacts. He's good at tackling, very good instincts. Good pick for the Bengals. With the 34th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver, Arizona State. Get Phillip Rivers, an outside receiver. All they have is T.Y. Hilton. And they got Mo Alley Cox, who's a very decent tight end. And you have Nyheim Hines, Jordan Wilkins, and Marlon Mack in the backfield. But you need someone on the outside that can make explosive plays. I love Brandon Ayuk here in this situation. Yes, I know injuries have riddled him. But it was a game against Oregon I was watching. I remember it was on a Saturday night. And he busted the Oregon coverage. And this guy is fast. He's very good. And as long as he stays healthy, Ayuk could be a difference maker for the Colts. Nonetheless, with the 35th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back, LSU. Well, Edwards-Helaire played a big role. No one wants to admit it, but he played a big role for his role was so big that it helped out Joe Burrow. He ran the ball effectively in games against Alabama and in the playoffs as well against Oklahoma and Clemson. He can block. He could catch passes out of the backfield. He could run. And Detroit hasn't had that kind of running back since Jahvid Best from the University of California. And I thought Jahvid Best was a really good running back until he had all of those concussions. Because Jahvid Best was a stud. And I think Edwards-Helaire is a stud here at this pick for the Detroit Lions nonetheless. With the 36th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Joshua Jones, offensive lineman, Houston. And some people think Jones is going to be taken the first round. But I love this selection here for the Giants at number 36 overall in the second round. And he could start right away. Nate Solder, Will Hernandez, John Halapio, Nick Gates potentially maybe starting at right tackle. With the 37th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Zach Bond, linebacker, Wisconsin. Bond, very good player, edge rusher. Bond, you have also Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram. You could make the linebacking core a little bit stronger. With the 38th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Cesar Ruiz, offensive lineman, Michigan. Cesar Ruiz may go in the first round. He's center. He's a guard. Good pick here for the Panthers. 35 was Hilaire from LSU. 36 was Jones out of Houston for the Giants. For New York, for the New York Giants, nonetheless. 37 was Zach Bond from Wisconsin, nonetheless. And then 38 was Cesar Ruiz from Michigan, nonetheless. So here's 39. With the 39th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Lloyd Cushenberry, the third offensive lineman, LSU. Now in this mock draft, I have him taking a quarterback, wide receiver, and a safety. Get an offensive lineman to protect your quarterback. He's a guard. But Cushenberry's the mauler up front. One of the reasons why LSU won the national title. With the 40th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Chase Claypool, wide receiver, Notre Dame. You traded away DeAndre Hopkins. You need someone else along for Deshaun Watson with Will Fuller, V, and Kenny Stills. With the 41st overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Antoine Winfield Jr., safety, Minnesota. You got a good secondary with Denzel Ward. You draft Winfield as well. So going back to the 40th pick, you get Chase Claypool, Deshaun Watson, the heartbeat and the heart and soul of the Texans, and you get him another wide receiver, which I like. And then with the 41st pick, with Antoine Winfield Jr., you make the secondary better with the Browns. With the 42nd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Ross Blacklock, defensive tackle, TCU. And Calais Campbell, who actually happened to be the heartbeat and the heart and soul of that Jaguars defense, got traded to Baltimore Ravens, and you find another guy up the middle. With the 43rd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Jacob Fromm, quarterback, Georgia. That signals done with Mitchell Trubisky, Nick Foles. It's your turn for a couple of years until Fromm's ready to be a franchise quarterback. With the 44th overall pick in the NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Terrell Lewis, linebacker, Alabama. Now, the general manager, Chris Ballard, is a very good drafter. I mean, he's so good. And he knows how to draft Quentin Nelson. And, I mean, he's the heartbeat and heart and soul of that offensive line. And you also have Darius Leonard. And add Darius Leonard and Terrell Lewis to that linebacker core. It's good. Lewis isn't going to be a bust. Lewis is going to be good because he got out of a fan yesterday on Twitter. He's like, oh, you're going to be a bust, da-da-da. No, he's not going to be a bust. He's good. He just had injury problems in college. With the 45th overall pick in the NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Austin Jackson, offensive lineman, USC. With the 46th overall pick in the NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select John Simpson, offensive lineman, Clemson. With the 47th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Jordan Elliott, defensive lineman, Missouri. With the 48th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, with the 48th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Ashton Davis, safety, California. With the 49th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Bryce Hall, cornerback, Virginia. With the 50th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Grant Delpit, safety, LSU. You're gonna find so many good players in the later rounds. Delpit was supposed to be a first-round pick. Now he's supposed to be in the second round. It's a deep NFL draft this year. With the 51st pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select A.J. Terrell, cornerback, Clemson. Now you shore up the secondary. You draft Henderson in the first round, and you draft Terrell in the second round. I love these picks for Dallas. With the 52nd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Isaiah Wilson, offensive lineman of Georgia. You need up offensive line. Andrew Whitworth has been a heart being a heart soul of the Rams offensive line. And now you get someone else, Isaiah Wilson, guard interior. They want to run the ball right away. And Sean McVay's offense, you got to protect Jared Goff. With the 53rd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Christian Fulton, cornerback, LSU. With the 54th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Marlon Davidson, defensive lineman, Auburn. With the 55th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select KJ Hamler, wide receiver, Penn State. Hamler, Marquise Brown on the outside. Hamler's more of a slot guy. But then you have Lamar Jackson, need for speed for the Ravens. But it's going to go depend on Lamar Jackson in a lot of things, who is the heartbeat and the heart and soul of the Ravens. So I'm curious to see how this is all going to roll out. With the 56th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select J.K. Dobbins, running back, Ohio State. Offensive line, wide receiver, quarterback, safety, running back. Dobbins and Balaj and Jordan Howard. That's a nice running back core. With the 57th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Cam Akers, running back, Florida State. Love the pick. With the 58th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Lucas Niang, offensive lineman, TCU. Minnesota needs help on the offensive line. Really do. Protect Kirk Cousins. The Vikings know how to draft. And they have a nose for talent. With the 59th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Robert Hunt, offensive lineman, Louisiana Lafayette. With the 60th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Ezra Cleveland, offensive lineman, Boise State. You got to replace Marshall Yanda. With the 61st overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Raekwon Davis, defensive lineman, Alabama. With the 62nd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Cole Kmet, tight end, Notre Dame. With the 63rd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Cameron Dantzler, cornerback, Mississippi State. With the 64th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Kyle Duggar, safety, Lenoir Rhyne. So with these picks, with Kemet, tight end, Notre Dame going to Green Bay at 62, I like it because they need a tight end for Aaron Rodgers. They lost Jimmy Graham. Kansas City needs a corner, so Cameron Dantzler fits the bill. And then Seattle could use the safety, Kyle Duggar. Lenoir Rhyne, he's been making his way up the draft boards. And then here's some of the third round predictions that I have quickly. With the 65th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Alton Robinson, defensive tackle, Syracuse. With the 66th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Harrison Bryant, tight end, Florida Atlantic. With the 67th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Jeremy Chin, safety, Southern Illinois. With the 68th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Terrell Burgess, safety, Utah. With the 69th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Damon Onarte, cornerback, Ohio State. With the 70th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Malik Harrison, linebacker, Ohio State. With the 71st overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Devin Asasi, tight end, UCLA. Hunter Henry franchise tag, you got to figure out what's going on there. And then with the 72nd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Logan Wilson, linebacker, Wyoming. Louis Riddick on his Twitter announced that this guy's draft stock is going up. With the 73rd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Jalen Hurts, quarterback, Alabama. With the 74th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Neville Gallimore, defensive lineman, Oklahoma. With the Cleveland Browns select Neville Gallimore, defensive lineman, Oklahoma. With the 75th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Prince Tega Wanugu, offensive lineman, Auburn. With the 76th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Anfernee Jennings, linebacker, Alabama. With the 77th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Jordan Brooks, linebacker, Texas Tech. They need another linebacker to go along with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, who are both the heartbeats and heart and soul of that defense. With the 78th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Antoine Brooks Jr., safety, Maryland. With the 79th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Josh Uche, linebacker, Michigan. And my last one, with the 80th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Jabari Zuniga, defensive lineman, Florida. All right. This is going to be very exciting. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of time here. Thanks for tuning in to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. I will be back on the air on Thursday at the same time to discuss NFL draft and some other topics. Love you all. Take care. Be safe and be well. I truly appreciate it. Love you all.